Uh-oh. Uh-oh. A little bit of visit to Adrian before we started. Good afternoon, folks. It's Wednesday. 4:49. Just 10 minutes to 5 here. Eastern Standard Time at the lampstand. I haven't done so well recently trying to get this stream out. And I might even have to quit. I'm not doing so good. I can't walk through this house and not want this family to be together. I don't know what's been said. I don't care. My accusers are not here. I was pushed to a point where I couldn't take any more, and I put my foot down. And I had to ask her to go because she was inciting violence. It's not something that I want around my children. You know? If a wife can't strive to bring out the best of her folks in the home, and she doesn't want it, what then? What are we dealing with? Because it wasn't right. Not being able to address her at all? Ever? Sorry, I'm really peeking hard here. Mic check, 1, 2. Yeah, so I couldn't address her. Every time we'd come to the table, it would just be me with things. Why are all these lights dead? I've got these O lights that I use to functionally shift. See, this is a good one. It's a purple one. Functionally shift the hue sometimes on my face. For certain. It's lost it. Where'd it go? Or pop on a green screen. You know? This green screen gives you a lot of wash, a lot of edges that don't look good, right? So it's important to have some sort of color on the side of you here. Let's just show you. I mean, over there I've got some orange lights and a purple light. And it's the same thing on the other side. They flank me on the sides. I got a light in front. Key light. It's nothing fancy. It's not state-of-the-art equipment. And they keep releasing better stuff every day, and that's just vexation of spirit and vanity. Feeling the need to upgrade constantly. FOMO. All right, well, the title says it all. But it's in the description. When the mask cracks. This is tough to explain to folks. I'm very upset at Ed Murphy. I'm very upset at Joel. Joel says that I'm some sort of immature person because I aired out my so-called grievances with my wife to children. 1, I didn't know. 2, hey, Joel, what about my children? See, this is what I don't get about these people. What about my children? You're caring about your children being asked to worry or not worry, asked to care and pray for something that the adults won't care about. The adults won't do anything about because they're only listening to one person. They're not coming to see And now they're justifying this not coming to see on things like me reaching out to the only people that are available. The children. I didn't know. But again, what about my children? My children are being exposed to this. My son Vance is now gone 7-8 months here now. I have no idea where he is. I have no idea where my son is. Does anybody care about this? Why can't I get in my car? I don't want to cry. Why can't I get in my car with any of my friends? Or why can't I get in their car? Why can't we go get him? Why can't we find my son and bring him home? Why is nobody helping me? And on the other side, look what's wrong here. Look what's wrong. He's suffering greatly. Suffering. I know who these children are. I know who they are. He wants to succeed. He wants to be known for someone who can do well. He struggles with the social aspect sometimes and putting two and two together, and that makes it so it's difficult for him to hammer it home sometimes, to get that job done the way it should be. He can't self-inform, not like a regular person. He's not like you or me. He really can't. And someone convinced him that he didn't need this shelter. He didn't need my guidance. He didn't need me looking out for that special, odd part of him. He blames me. He's broken in ways that I knew, and I begged her, his mother, to help me get him help. His brother will tell you. We've begged for his whole life. He's over 2 decades old. He's in his 20s. He gave no consent. He didn't want me to know where he was, but then he called his mom for a ride. I had Vance's phone here. Now all of a sudden it's gone and he has it. This takes a toll, folks. It takes a toll. You have to understand, nobody sees this. You might see me on video. Like this. Speaking clearly. Put together a little bit. Capable. You might see me standing upright and assume everything is fine. And as stated, a lot of you think this is just a nonsense dispute, so-called grievances between a man and a woman. Another failed marriage. It's not. It's not. It's had real consequences for me. Not theoretical consequences. Not emotional inconvenience. Real physical consequences. For decades, I have begged for help, for understanding, because I didn't understand. I didn't understand. And if you followed this channel at all, you would know if you've been in this realm, if you've suffered at the hands of a narcissist or you've recovered, you know that the leading research has been culminating over 25, 26 years now. Not necessarily starting with Professor Vaknin, but leading through to and through him. It was uncanny what I was uncovering. So we're talking, it's in the span of about 4 years. Not since 2018. When Yahuah asked for my returning, asked for me to wake up. I'm not talking about then. Just didn't know what was going on with her. None of it made sense. I did find the recordings. I've listened to a few of them. They're not pleasant. I lose my way in some of them. She loses her way in some of them. We lose our way. It's tough. Two folks that claim to love each other, but they keep getting caught up in stuff that breaks them down in ways that then they just... You got to understand, 25 years of me basically being in the role of the housewife. Not the bitch, but the housewife. We had to make certain decisions. And I believed. And I waited. I waited for her to see me as the man I could be for her. That I was trying to build a world for her to be in. A world where she didn't have to actually go and pull a lever every day and work her ass off. Yeah, I'm just going to speak plainly. I'm a human being. I can sit in prayer for this. I know you people. Some of you people are special. I'm special in a different way. I'm a little fed up. So I'm going to keep it real and I'm going to keep it honest. I'll go and pray for my tongue, but I'm not sinning against anybody. I'm not swearing to. I'll do my best. Because you guys all are owed that at least. So, I reached out to Ed years ago, and he's always had the same question, same types of questions, because what Ed has done is he's come at it from his own understanding. See, I think what's happening is that people, I don't know, when do they turn on Scripture? When do these modern Christians turn on Scripture and decide that it applies? Because what's being good Bereans, Matthew 18, bringing forth the witnesses, everything's proved with witnesses, and Ed claims he said he lost his trust in me. He didn't say I betrayed it. He doesn't have any single... What are you talking about, Ed, when I keep talking about this stuff that you do that's not Christian and I expose it publicly? When I reach out to the church and I send them videos, send them links to videos that I make about you? That's not betraying your trust, Ed. Do you hear yourself? I have no idea what you're talking about. One, in the realm of a GoFundMe, what does that even mean? That you don't know where you don't trust where the funds would be used? What do I need, Ed? I don't need anything. What am I going to do? Go get a car? Am I going to get a car? What am I going to do? What am I going to go get? This funds, you don't think the funds would be used wisely? Merrick Bank, about $3,000 gone. Right? That's where the tent is. Dell fell apart. Can't do anything about that. What are you telling me? You want me to sell my computer? You want me to sell this rig? You want me to sell the thing that's going to help my child in the long run continue and stream and do whatever he wants? Yeah, I can sell the tent, but I can't sell the tent. You don't know what you're talking about. You're only looking at it from your perspective, leaning on your own understanding. I've never seen a person less Christian than my wife, actually. But it's all of you folks. It's all of you folks. Dorinda states, I have a hard time believing anything you say about your wife, Mr. David. What could that even mean coming from a person that has 30 to 60 man hours of contact with my wife, where I have 25 years of living with her, waking with her, sleeping with her, watching her sleep, watching her struggle, watching her suffer, picking her up, building her up, helping her find her way, providing a way, providing a path, providing a structure, providing a scaffold, providing understanding. Providing an ear, a shoulder. How dare you people even ask? Do you see me? Do you see my body? Have you seen the pictures of my body that I circulated on Facebook? I'm nothing now. I've wasted away to nothingness. This camera loves me. The camera loves to follow me all over the place and drop my head where I don't want it to go. This has had a real physical toll on me. And just add the actual things that went wrong. You folks understand, I fell. There's an entranceway downstairs. It's just below this window. That's on the other side of the camera. And it's a service entrance, basically. It's got a ramp, a very long sloped ramp. Well, it's old. It was sealed a long time ago and had some junk poured on it. They've tried stuff. But it's not the original edged concrete. It's supposed to be like a faceted edged concrete because it's at a slope and water runs down it. And that's... New York isn't all that, folks. Okay, it's loaded with a lot of not altogether there. So this stuff is slick, smooth, and our new porter isn't altogether there. And he's coated it and he's painted it. And it's slick and smooth. Well, I came home one day after an avowed effort to do more. The beginnings of my changes. This is tough because I want my new friends, followers of the way, the people that kind of see this truth. I mean, I haven't grasped it fully and I don't know how to dive in. I don't have a lot of help. I don't have a lot of like-minded people that want to keep the Sabbath with me and keep the feast days, and I just have people hating. And it doesn't make a lot of sense, the hate. Because I'm not doing anything theologically wrong. What you come to realize is that I don't even know how to explain it, folks. The simple instruction is pretty easy. Just go back and do your best to Throw away all your presuppositions, all the doctrines, all the stuff you've been thinking about and been taught. Trinity, everything, toss it. And just read it. Right from the beginning. It worked. It changed things. Now, I'm thankful to have had Kevin Thompson in my life and have been able to be a part of the Full Stature Initiative. Because the Ephesians 4 model is still pretty important to me. You see, these Christian people, what are they? Ed is like the biggest milk-drinking Christian I've ever seen. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't lean in anything. He doesn't dig any deeper. He doesn't realize that it's the church fathers that said we don't want anything to do with the Jews or these Jewish traditions or anything of that. It wasn't our apostles. It wasn't our Christ. They kept the Sabbath. They kept the feast days. They didn't do away with any of it. And all you guys can do is try to find all these proof texts and say, oh, well, what about this council and that council and what and this and that? But you don't even know the context then and there either, who they were talking to. You can't even dig deep enough to know what Greeks mean when it doesn't mean Greeks. Okay? Yeah, look that up in your Funkin' Wagnalls. I'm not getting in trouble for that one. Anyways, the basis of this stream is I don't know what to do anymore. Ed got hung up on circumcision. He got hung up on all this stuff. Trinity stuff. There's nowhere in the Bible that says if you don't believe in this man-made Trinity doctrine, you're going to hell. Okay? And for the people that say keeping the law sends you to hell, they're not understanding. You're not keeping the law to be saved. You're not doing it to be saved, to be seen. You change. You do change. And when you do change, this for real change, not that fake lovey-dovey sewing circle, butts in seats, Christian change, belonging to a clique, a cult. You get caught up in these worldly traditions of man, and you don't ask any questions, and you don't go anywhere with it. You just show up to your Sunday service every day, and you do what you do, right? But when your brother's suffering on the side of the road, Edward, you make him prove that he deserves your help? I'm sorry. You want to talk about betrayal of trust, Edward? You're the biggest betrayer of trust I've ever met. I thought you were the most loving, kind, sincere Christian man I had known. But your fruit is rotten to the core. Rotten to the core. How dare you say to me that you wouldn't... You haven't been in my life, Ed. You have a scant few interactions with me over the course of decades where things even then didn't go as well as they should have. But you were also one that couldn't be corrected. You wanted to correct me all the time and tell me I was wrong here and there. You wanted that privilege. You wanted that opportunity. But you weren't reciprocal with it. When you were incorrect about me, specifically when you started asking me about how I could have been hurting my wife. Think about it, Ed. I used to say to her, I could be Jesus. I could be Superman. And it wouldn't matter because it would just make her more mad because it would be... Because she would say it. Oh, what are you, perfect? You think you're so perfect. But then she would change that and say, oh, you're expecting me to be perfect. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Do you not go to church with me, woman? Why do you constantly put this in a situation where it's all about my ego, me having this fleshly notion about wanting to have power and control over things? Things need to be a certain way. Sure. And you actually need me to be right. You can't be with a man that's just wrong all the time and demanding that you follow all those wrong, dumb ideas. You kind of need me to be right. What's wrong with me being right? What's wrong with me being wrong? I'm going to take a few more sips here. I'm going to dive right in. So if you've just joined us, we're basically covering what happens when mortification takes place. When something happens that they really can't escape, but they can't admit to. Kind of like what's happening with Vance right now. If Vance was to be struggling right now and needing to admit that he couldn't handle this and he wanted to come home, he wouldn't. But he also won't tell me he's doing well. He doesn't want me to know. Well, there's something wrong there. Because I really didn't do anything to this kid other than let him know that we loved him, we cared for him, and when he was out of bounds in the realm of his social stuff, he was told how to bring it back in, given like little systems and things he could talk about in his own mind, like, is this really what's going on, you know? How certain is this? Could I be wrong? Maybe I should ask someone else, you know? So, something really serious. Hi, Adrian. Something really serious has been happening here for a very long time. And you have to get into the realm of understanding this, where we're not talking about, hey, Anne, what did you do? What is this bad, horrible thing you did? Where she'd have to go, blame, shift, and deflect and try not to get punished like a little kid. No, we're talking about everything. Every little thing that would change. Please understand this, folks. I watched my best friend just disappear. You have no idea how special she was to me. Okay? And then about 4 years ago, start learning about this NPD stuff, and I wasn't just trying to categorize her and corral her and put her in a box. I was trying to understand. Because I didn't know how this was happening to me. I didn't know how she was being triggered. It took years for Devin to tell me there's parts of my behavior and my personality that are a bit overbearing. It took decades for Anne to tell me sometimes she wishes I would put more exposition in front of things. More clarifying statements, and like, instead of just coming around a corner and asking questions, laying groundwork for a question. I guess I understand that, but it seems weird. Laying groundwork for a question? Can't I just ask the question? And that would become a fight. just wondering why things needed to be a certain way, when I also needed to have things be a certain way. Why there was really no even scales and compromise in any of this. It was really hard. Hard on the children. Hard on me. Real consequences. Hey, buddy. There you go. There's plenty. Boom. Good spot. Are those the other shoes that were by the bathroom door? Right? Because the ones you originally popped them in, those are the ones that were flattened. And we chucked them. Yeah, those are the ones I told you to put on. The ones that he has on now. Good, thank you. Adrian got himself some slippers, which is good because the house has been cold. Very cold. I think it snowed again today. Right? A little bit of snow came down today, or you were asleep? Anyways. So for years, decades, I reached out to people that claimed to be followers of Christ. Now, there's certain people I would never go to. Certain people I would never go to. Like Tom and Robin. I would never go to Tom and Robin. I don't know them well enough. They're in an enshrined, envisioned place of just kindness and neat and beautiful people. And I remember fondly, I really remember fondly Tom Langberg at the Cave, at the 99. Intellectual, smart guy, but very soft-spoken and easygoing. The way he got his points across, and I couldn't even fathom and remember any of the conversations that took place in that little location. I just have always remembered them fondly. So yeah, I would never ask a person like that for help. I would never ask Paul or Barb. But there were people I really did reach out to. I reached out to Craig when I was younger. And he was helpful. I stayed at his home for a while when things were a little bit odd between me and my mom. And if you ever sat to a meal at his home around when Charlene was with us, the chairs you sat in were chairs that him and I did. I don't want to get into it anymore with Mr. Murphy, because Mr. Murphy knew how kind of special he was. Not that we ever got that close, but I thought he was nice. I always thought he was kind. But the truth of the matter is, he was never really there. Not after we had had some distance. That's because I remember being with Mr. Murphy in our conversations in the past, and he wasn't very kind to me. He didn't treat me well in the realm of doing the farm website. He didn't treat me well in the realm of helping reach Cindy Goodell. He didn't treat me well in the realm of helping reach Kim Cole. There was a time when I didn't understand Islam as the false religion that it is, and not a lot of people were able to trace it back the way they can now and find that it isn't real. It's a lot like Mormonism, and it's somebody that wanted attention. It's tough to say, but David Wood and Frank Turok and a lot of other people that you can find online, they know the truth. We know the truth. And I feel bad because there's nothing wrong with deciding that Christ is the way. The Father draws you. And when he does, he's going to show you this. And then it's up to you. Ed was special to me. Different. There were a few other people that were like that, but not really a lot of people like Ed. I didn't know if he was vulnerable, a side of him that was like that or tender, if it was for real, but it seemed real. He was never cruel to me, never unkind to me. I was never envious of him. I never stole from him. I never had these inklings where sometimes when I was broken, I'd have urges with other people like Paul and Barb. I stole from Paul and Barb. I repented of it. I confessed to them, and that's a water under the bridge per se. But for Ed to say what he said to me, and for him to be the person he chose to be against me all these years, I've never understood it. Christ tells us to pray to the Most High, the Father. So I pray to the Most High. That doesn't mean in the realm of I and the Father are one means they're one thing. It just means they're aligned. I trust you. I trust Yahuah. I trust Yahushua. So why not just follow the way? I don't need man doctrines. I don't need any of that. When your sin is known, you do the right thing. You confess it. You go to the table. The negotiation table, the confession table, the sacrifice table. We're supposed to present ourselves as that sacrifice. I don't need to go into this. So I'd be like reaching out to these folks. And every church, and this is what I don't like about Ed, he forgets everything. What do you think happened, Ed? The first thing I did was, all right, Matthew 18. I go to my wife. She doesn't really want to talk to me about this stuff. I can't really send the children after her, right? Because if she's really, really afflicted with something, that would be the worst thing ever. Oh, they're all ganging up on me. This is what happened. Somebody keeps calling me over and over and over. So I reach out to these people, and they would ask me questions like, Brian, are you sure that you're loving your wife in the way Christ loved the church? They ask that of you. They ask you that as if you hadn't already given everything. Where do they think you are in the realm of this? I'm not showing up to church because, I'm a seeker seeking Christ. I'm a new Christian. I don't know anything. Come and teach me your ways. No. I've been following, learning, and trying my best to not lean on my own understanding and to be someone that Yah would say, well done. I don't have all the answers. When I do, it's not me with them. I can guarantee you that. I gave her everything. Everything. Plans for a new life. Plans to have a business and a job elsewhere. Plans to take the financial stresses and the burdens off of her. Plans to take over as the main head, the worker of the home. She had skills. She needed this. She needed to be able to take care of Adrian and take everything she had learned, and she needed to give it to him, and she needed to give it to Vance, and she needed to give it to Devin. And that was my goal. To turn a couple of really good hobbies I had, some talents, get the right people around me, and create a few businesses that would alleviate the financial burden from her completely. This is what I was doing. This is what I was trying. This is what my friend Ed says he doesn't trust me. Everybody needs to realize this right now. My oldest boy, Adrian, is going to take his last breath on this planet one day. He's autistic. Highly autistic. He can't inform. He can't ask for help. He can't tell you what his ailments are. He can't tell you where he hurts. And my heart knows that he's tender and loving and caring and different than most. He's not an angry, oversensitive, don't touch me, violent boy. He loves more than most. He loves in a way that most people like you and I can't. And there's no reason why he shouldn't have somebody taking care of him every day of his life, looking out for him, interacting with him, making him feel like he's special and he belongs. My wife didn't see this, and I don't know how. Look at what she does for a living, right? Department of Education, New York City, special needs children, right? Making sure they don't fall through the cracks. Making sure that they have a means to get the care they need and the aid they need and the services they need so they can become as productive members of society as is possible. This is what my wife's profession is. And her middle child, who needed a lot of psychiatric help, Vance, the missing one, he was the meditator. He's the smart one. But he's the one that needed the most structured guidance. Devin here, he's the heart. He's the emotion. Adrian needed both of these boys. My goal was to make sure these two boys grew up to be men that couldn't be corrupted by the world, that women in their lives and the world itself wouldn't make them turn their back on him. They wouldn't want the convenience of the world and what's easy, and they wouldn't turn their back on him. How dare you, Mr. Murphy, tell me that you don't believe that I would handle these funds wisely? You are a creep. You are a creep. I'm appalled. You don't follow Christ. You lean on your own understanding. You constantly tumble me around in your brain, and you only use what you think you know about everything to judge me. You're the one that makes me justify myself to you constantly. You're the one that proves to me that I have to earn something from you. Your last words were, I don't want you to talk to me until one of us changes our heart about this. I don't have to change my heart about this. I love my wife. I wanted help. I needed help with a little bit of a GoFundMe because some decisions she made where she pulled the rug out from underneath of plans that were in place. She sabotaged concrete plans to get out of New York, get my kids to a wonderful church community down in Arkansas, good job, decent apartment to live in to start with, wonderful cost of living, all of it ready. We only needed to do the next phase, and that was get the moving trucks, get everything broken down, decide what we're taking, decide what we're leaving behind, and just get out of Dodge. Just get out of Dodge. And she sabotaged it. During COVID, I didn't know if we were going to get stuck here. I didn't want her to get the shots. I didn't know if she was going to lose her job if she made that choice. Guess what she didn't do? She didn't choose to refuse the shot. She made that choice. This was after we had already bought the stuff to go to Arkansas, and now we're stuck with it. Now, okay, we got to get ready to hole up. Well, we bought stuff to go down to Arkansas with too, like food and things like that. Well, now we have to hole up in case she loses her job for a few months, right? So now we have to buy food to store in the house. That was done. All I did was ask for a little bit of help getting out from underneath those credit bills before her bad habits made it so they would double and triple. I asked for a little bit of help. Before I asked you for help, Ed, Dell hadn't gone into collections and Home Depot hadn't gone into collections. Now they have both gone into collections. There's plenty of money, Mr. Murphy. She's just not paying the bills. Do you forget I told you that I found out she didn't pay rent forever? For like 7 months we were behind. And then we had to go into retirement funds, take them out, pay heavy fees, just so we wouldn't get kicked out on the street. This was her. This was not me. And you had the nerve to tell me that the person that stayed behind to help the kids, stay with the kids, continue to teach the kids right from wrong, and protect them from all of this as best as he can, you won't help me get out from underneath the financial burden that she created with this neglect and this abuse. NPD sufferers being notoriously bad with money, her being notoriously bad with money since day one, refusing to use Quicken software, home and business, refusing to reconcile her checkbook, refusing to do her home care paperwork because she went and saw kids in their home. So she she does evaluations and she sees these kids. She has to turn this paperwork into her agency in order to get paid. She refuses to do this. Her best friend Vicky told me she sat on weeks and weeks of paperwork and didn't do this. Ann and I would end up having to go out in the middle of the night because we didn't have any money, right? And she would have to go out into the middle of the night, drive all the way to these locations, these drop boxes, and slip these things under their doors and slip these things into mailbox slots in their doors because she couldn't send them in on time. These were the facts. This is not me destroying a family. This is not me being irresponsible with funds, right? In the realm of that, when I tried to do things for this family, in the realm of proving I could run a business, it would be in the realm of buy this, upgrade it, sell it, right? Well, guess what happened? She's telling me she's paying rent. She's telling me the bills are paid. So I look at the accounts. I believe her. There's a little bit of money there. I go buy myself something to invest in so I can upgrade it, sell it, do something, make a reputation in the community, right? Which happened rapidly. All her and I had to do was not actually even move to Arkansas. All we had to do was move to New Jersey. But people wanted a piece of me all the time. Keith Aiello, out in New Jersey. I had figured out how to get with a company that made a fantastic silicone oil, one of the best there is on the planet. I got it in bulk at a Chemical Connection website here in America. Stuff comes from overseas. He wasn't interested in working through me and having me work in his shop as his tech guy. He wanted me to tell him all my sources so he could just go sell the oil himself and sell my products himself. He wanted nothing to do. He wanted to eliminate the middleman. Capitalism is great, nothing wrong with that, but there was a plan there for us to go. See? But people. I'm really tired of people claiming that they love God, claiming that they love, period. And they ask me in the situation I'm in, Brian, are you sure that you're loving your wife the way Christ loves the church? They ask this question as if the outcome you're living in didn't already answer the question. Don't you see the outcome? Don't you see what's going on here? Why do you think this happened to me, folks? How do you think a man ends up here? I gave everything. I blamed culture at first. Then I blamed simple, casual misunderstandings, differences in upbringing, differences in language, nuance, interpretation. There were times I even paid compliments that were received as insults. Take one time. Take this one example. Now, this is like an Americanized colloquialism of sorts in the way this is stated, right? I was praising my wife, praising her. Here's the context. On the books, she's listed as an occupational therapist, just on staff, one of the staff, regular old staff. That's how she's listed on the books, right? So who's this person here? Anne. Oh yeah, what's her role? She's one of our occupational therapists. That's how that is. But if you were to go to her school and you were to see her in action, you would never guess that that's all she was listed as. You would think she ran the facility. You would think she was the assistant principal or the principal or the director of the facility. She was that dynamic, that amazing. So I said this. No one would ever guess that she was just an occupational therapist. And her boss and Anne herself, when I paid Anne that compliment, and when I said, Anne, no one would ever be able to guess that you were just an occupational therapist, the two of them talked together. Instead of asking me what I meant, they decided I insulted them. They who didn't understand it, just like Kevin Hart in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Hold on a second. Yeah, because you're using these big words, and I'm just going to assume that you're insulting me. That's the kind of stuff that was there. I literally would pay her compliments. I literally would build her up. And then she'd hate it or wouldn't understand it. So what do you do in those moments? It's destructive. It hurts. It's psychologically like it's what? You know? Obviously, these things weren't hurt. They weren't insults. But something went wrong because they were heard as something completely different than how they were spoken. Something was changed. Something changes what I say into something that has never been said, or the meaning or the connotation or whatever. It's just gone. People don't understand it. So that's the kind of thing. That's the nature of this phenomenon. And the stress that follows stuff like this is not momentary because this was constant. Constant denial, constant demeaning, constant devaluation, and then constant denial of all that. And then build you up when she wants something. It was constant. And I have begged for help for years. I reached out to these people, Ed, Joel, Dorinda, Craig, other people from the farm. Not one of them has stepped forward in the way that mattered. Not one of them has come into the fire with me at all. They offer instructions from the outside, though. Things like, well, if you're sick, go to the hospital. Sell something. Do this, do that. As if a man in collapse can simply flip a switch and execute logistics while his body and mind are failing. Whoa, yeah, I'll just pack up that tent and hey, guys. Ed, do you even know how cruel you are and insensitive you are through your social ineptitude? None of you understand the condition I'm in. So this is my day now. You know, this is my day. I have to sit in a bathtub, hot water, every couple hours just to regulate the pain and the stress because I don't have proper medical care. I don't have love and affection. I don't have understanding. I don't have a person here to plan any part of my life with. I have every part of my plans dashed and thrown away and everything gone. I have the horrifying weight of not knowing where my son is, how he is, my wife. What do I do with the fact that my doctors diagnosed me with herpes too? I have an STI, but I'm supposed to believe that she is faithful, that she's never touched another man, while she scrambles to try to tell me, yeah, I'm clipping you guys, I know. While she scrambles to try to tell me that the sharing of a cigar, the tasting their saliva, they're trying to tell me that, she's trying to tell me that, oh, that's how you got it. That's not how you get number 2. Do I even want to think that that woman right here, right there, look at her. You all see it. To some of you, maybe, maybe not. But to me, that's an attractive woman. She gets men callers. She gets suitors. She gets people. And now she ain't wearing a ring. She said, you said to take it off. Well, yeah, I said to take it off if you don't love me. I said it rhetorically. I said it. Culturally, she doesn't understand how Americans talk. A lot of it, when I would speak with her friends and parents, it's, you know, you gotta work with it. Even my son's girlfriend, I mean, you got to work with sometimes cultural differences and language differences that just don't translate well. And I'm willing to do that, but my wife was never willing to do that. You have any idea what it's like to be constantly told that you're the problem all the time, but then when you ask, are you saying I do everything wrong? She'll say, well, I'm not saying that, but you are. Everything I'm saying that is wrong, you're saying I'm responsible for it. You're perfect. And then you're mad at me and claiming I'm stating that I wish you were perfect. But you're claiming that you're perfect. And then you're saying I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but you're also not claiming you do anything wrong at all. So in the end of that mishmash of stuff I just said, it's apparent that she's just blame shifting and deflecting everything onto me and then denying that. You people need to understand, I came out of a doctor's appointment. I finally got seen last year. None of it matters now because I have to get seen all the time because she doesn't take me to these appointments. But I had a full checkup, full medical evaluation. And they don't understand how I'm still functioning. You people understand that? Dr. Eng, Dr. Lau, they're like, how have you not had a stroke? How have you not had a heart attack? My numbers don't add up right. Something's odd. Doesn't make much sense. This is destroying me. You have to realize that there is this whole entire aspect of it, added to the fact that I fell, and there was the neglect and the abuse and the malnutrition on top of this. I chose to fast and chose to pray and chose to surrender to Yah and chose 100%. When I chose this, something came against this house like you wouldn't believe. Some negative spirit in that woman And it just tore through everybody. And I begged for help. They all want me to undergo procedures that require days of fasting, days of physical depletion, and days of preparation now that require supervision, care, and stability. That requires a companion, folks. That requires someone who is there. But my companion, the companion who is supposed to be there, is the reason why I'm here. Right? The neglect, the abandonment, the chronic stress, the years of devaluing, denying, and rewriting reality. These things take a toll. Not just emotionally, but physically. My children saw it. You want to talk about children being affected by stuff, Mr. Aurelius? Joel? I reached out for help. Every person I have named knows that I reached out. I'm not a man without capability, but capability has its limits. Every man has limits. And when those limits are reached, help is required. That's not weakness, that's reality. But help did not and has not come. And this is what people must understand. The stress is real. The damage is real. The psychological consequences are real. And that's why I'm going to go forward and dig in. This is just your cold open, folks. All right, gang. So, before we get started with the actual teaching, some of you, if you want, you can grab a text, grab your Bible, because I'll be referring to a few scriptures, not necessarily reading all of them aloud, but I have them made available. I'm not going to put them on screen. I'm not skilled enough yet. Oh, now I know why that didn't show up, because of the opacity. All right. So I have to do a quick change for one item. That's Mr. Monster Cat. Got a filter running. Or does it? Yeah, color correction on the scene and opacity is making it so part of the Be Right Back screen bled through with that album cover down there. Done. All right. So I'm working on this for a couple days. I'm really sick right now. You'll hear it in the change in my voice. You'll see I'll probably start to Pixar blink a little bit. I'll get a little bit messed up, tired. I'm feeling uncomfortable right now. But I got to finish what I started for you folks. All right? So, we're back. And so after the opening, we start with the series here, the teaching. Narcissistic mortification, the enemy object switch, and how chronic abuse can break a body. My name is Brian David. you've just joined us, this is The Lampstand. I am a religious ethicist, not at all unlike a few others out there, where I use scripture, logic, reason to kind of navigate through some of these difficult things that I'm seeing in these patterns in life. And so a teaching set of series has evolved here because a certain set of necessities have evolved here. So let's begin. We have some opening scriptures here. We have Ecclesiastes 4:1, Psalms 55, Proverbs 17:22, and John 8:32. I'm a big fan of Ecclesiastes. So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun. And behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter. And on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter. Psalm 55:21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Proverbs 17:22. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. And finally, we'll go to John 8:32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Amen. So, house rules for this teaching. We deal in truth, not rumor. We do not diagnose strangers. We describe patterns and consequences. We do not tell victims to just endure what God calls oppression. We don't confuse forgiveness with continued access. We aim for lawful, practical help, safety, medical care, documentation, and community support. So, let's introduce this thing. I'm going to drift. I'm glad it didn't follow that time. Anyways, so it's the kind of harm people just don't believe. Right? Well, that's what I'm seeing. You just don't believe me, right? None of you? Some suffering's visible, right? This is the kind of suffering that people rush to. But there's another kind, suffering that looks like a bad marriage from the outside, or guess what? It's actually slow suffocation on the inside. It's not just one fight. It's a system. It's a pattern where the person who's supposed to be your companion becomes your critic, your interrogator, your judge, your denier, and then when pressed with the truth, your accuser. And the most damaging part, it's not only the words, it's what the words they use do to reality. To your reality. Because when your reality is constantly rewritten, when they're constantly trying to change the narrative and constantly trying to tell you, oh, that thing that you remembered correctly yesterday, guess what, now is not that anymore. Your nervous system never gets to rest. We all know that Scripture acknowledges this type of burden, right? Ecclesiastes says the oppressed have tears and no comforter. Proverbs says a crushed spirit dries up the bones. That's not poetry only, though. It's a description of the human design. Prolonged inner crushing eventually shows up in the body. I need lay people to understand three things in this moment. First, why a narcissist-style abuser keeps picking fights, even though the fights create stress. Why would they do that? Second, what happens when the mask cracks and then they feel exposed? Third, how this becomes a medical reality over years, and what righteous help actually looks like. So, part one, why the fights are necessary to them. Lay people asking, if she didn't want the stress, why did she keep causing stress? It's a question I asked. If you don't want this trouble, why are you causing it? Because, for this kind of personality structure, the fight is not a mistake. This is a type of regulation happening. In plain language, the conflict is like a tool that restores their sense of power, their sense of superiority, or their sense of control. It grounds them when they feel shame, envy, or some sort of inner emptiness. When they feel the shuddering climax, the realization of missing the mark and having affected others with that action. In Professor Vacton's framework, the narcissist needs supply. We cover this. It's either attention, control, and emotional reaction. And they use cycles, like they idealize you one moment, then they devalue the next, discard you, sometimes hoover. When a partner is no longer an admired object, they can be converted into a persecutor, an object of persecution, into a persecutory object, an enemy. She never got to the point where she was admiring me in any way. Now, I'm not needing admiration. We're not talking about a broken person that goes, I need admiration. But she never built, never edified. And when she broke down, she never restored. What happens then is the narcissist interacts with that enemy through dominance, punishment, and reality control. And that's where we're at. She could come to terms with all of this and just repent, be loved. I can't even imagine what it would be like if I saw her crying and understanding it. But I would worry that she wouldn't know what to do with herself and feel so much shame. But that's what's happening, folks. And I wanted to help her before this happened. You don't know what to do. Do you tell her friends she does this and does that, and they don't believe you, and they say, well, here's the proof, and then they discard her? Something has happened to my wife. It happened a long time ago. It happened in those delicate years we're talking about. I just don't think she can come to terms with it. She's a special girl, and these are special circumstances. So when her and I would fight, there was no resolution. These fights would accomplish those several things at once. The control thing. I mean, if you're always defending yourself, you can't lead, you can't plan, you can't rest, you can't build. If you're always defending yourself against things that just aren't real, constant, there's confusion. Every concern becomes, oh, that's just you. Your own perceptions get attacked. You're being told you're crazy to think the things you think, and then when the evidence shows up, she just is, well, your partner just ignores it. And then there's the extraction. Your emotional reactions become fuel, fear, pleading, anger, sorrow. And then the displacement. Their inner shame gets exported onto you so they can feel clean and right. You thinking about this, folks? This is why logic doesn't fix it. Because the arguments are not primarily about facts anymore. They're about dominance over the shared reality. Right? That's why reconciliation often never arrives. Real reconciliation requires admission, remorse. It requires change. But admission collapses that false self-image. It requires the very thing we're asked to do, to sacrifice that flesh. And she just can't do it. Imagine that. So instead, you get this endless loop, constant devaluating, constant denial, deflection, blame shifting, and that loop is not merely emotional. It's physiological. It takes its toll. And so here's the really serious part. When the mask cracks, right? When mortification and the enemy object switch takes place. So you asked, once the narcissist is exposed or mortified, what is their goal then? What do they want to do? Often the immediate goal is just to regain control of the narrative and reverse the moral scoreboard. No, that's you. No, that's you. You make it sound like I'm this, that, and the other thing. Oh, you know me better than that. When you study Vaknin in this realm, narcissistic mortification is described as a collapse of defenses when grandiosity is pierced, when the shell of who she thinks she is pierced, and shame just floods in. It just floods in, and it leads to dysregulation and quite reckless behavior. The kind of thing that happened in the kitchen, I would imagine, was that. I'm in the bathroom, not a witness to the events. I'm stating things, and I'm under the impression that Vance is she's opposing them. And Vance is just saying, well, you know, Dad's right. That's all that's happening. And so here's this moment where I believe, because I'm thinking I kind of know what's going on between the two of them, where there's these moments where Vance is like, wow, I finally got somebody on my side. And that's Mom pretending. And then Vance is just being Vance, and Mom thinks because Vance is loving, Mom thinks, oh, he's on my side. So when that moment comes when Vance appears to be siding with me, just simply meaning Dad's right about a couple of things or whatever it was, that still hasn't even come to light yet. She feels this moment of, oh, now Vance is against me. Now this, okay, if this is real, the shell cracks, that grandiosity. Now, when you say grandiosity to my wife, she thinks you're talking about the stuck-up, snotty, I'm so great, you can smell my grandiosity type of arrogance that a lot of narcissists do possess. But that's not really what that is. It's the idea that they have about themselves that they couldn't do anything wrong, that they don't need help, that they're always certain. It's the 5 Ds of David Dunning in reverse. They don't think they could ever be wrong about anything they think and feel. I wouldn't call it confidence, but it's a grandiosity. So this is pierced, it's cut, and a crevice, an opening, and the reality of things flood in. And now you're dealing with a person who has never been individuated, never becomes someone that can deal with these nuances socially, and they don't have anything else other than child reactions. So it's basically crocodile dentist. If you watch those cute videos with those kids, there's this scene where this girl's playing crocodile dentist, and she sticks her hand in the teeth of the crocodile, and it snaps down, and instead of her being the good sport loser of the game, she just swipes the game off of the countertop to the floor, and now I don't even want anything to do with the game. That's the idea of that, if I can't win at all costs, I'm not going to play. If I can't win this game, I'm taking my ball and going home. I'm going to ruin it for everybody else. That's what my wife is like. Except this time she did something a little bit more dangerous. This reckless behavior can be anything. This reckless behavior can be not paying rent. It can be withholding love. It can be deciding that something isn't worth an investigation to find out if you're even wrong, if she's even wrong. So the grandiosity will get in the way, and she'll be like, well, why would I even entertain this? And then she won't even look at the concept or the theories or the presentation to find out if she could be in the wrong. And it's just instantly blame shifted and deflected. And, it must be just you, Brian, thinking things. This is bad news. This is constant in this relationship. And I reached out. No one cares because no one sees it in their own life. You'd have to actually have this happening in your own life to understand it. When all this happens, this mortification, this reckless behavior, this dysregulation, a dangerous sequence can follow. You people have to understand it. So she experiences exposure as annihilation, not as correction. She interprets the partner's truth-telling as persecution. She takes what I'm saying as not just leading her to truth so she can see it for what it is. She takes it as persecution, and she does things. She responds incorrectly. Where she is now is that very thing. Just telling her what she's doing is basically not legal. That if a third party got involved and wanted to spend money and go after Anne for how she's treating me and neglecting Adrian, the city already came to find out. Luckily, they determined that Adrian was okay because they saw that Devin and I are here caring for him. But Anne has abandoned this family. It's like a revenge. It's that she's been caught now, and instead of her coming to Yah, coming to forgiveness, coming to an understanding, coming home, she's just running. So that's this part, the enemy object. I become the enemy object. I'm not a person, I'm an object. The truth-telling person that's loving her, saying, hey, I think you need to consider this, I'm the enemy. They're not taking correction as correction. So what are we talking about in Proverbs? What do they say? What does the Bible say about someone that doesn't take needed correction? Well, what does Vacnan say? These people aren't smart. It's a stupidity. Stupidity classified as the adamant refusal of correction. And all I'm doing is trying to build a world with her so we're not having these we're not having these problems together. Things that she shouldn't do, shouldn't say, shouldn't act like, shouldn't think. Things that could be cultural, things that could be how she was raised, things that need to be considered because we're a couple now. It's her and I under Yah. So every ounce of everything I gave her became persecution, became something that would trigger her, good or bad. It would just trigger her, and I become the enemy. And so they attempt this negative hoovering, this revenge-driven engagement. If she pulls you back in, it's not to restore love, but it's to gain another foothold for punishment, to control, to extract restitution, to force submission, or to prove that Brian's the villain. And that's what she would do when she would leave at night. We would say things to her in design to help her see that she's loved, cared for, and that both parties need to come to the table when grievances show up. And then she would just blurt out, "See, you're saying I'm just the defective one." And she would run out the door and run down the stairs. It was like a grenade. She just, she would tell me, right? She would say things like this. "Look at you. You're only saying this in the hallway to get attention." And no, you went in the hallway. I was talking to you. You opened the door, and now my voice is just going out the hallway. I'm still in the middle of a sentence. I didn't wait for you to open the door so I could say these words, right? And you want me to be quiet, right? You're embarrassed? Then tell me why within seconds you're yelling the words that you're yelling to draw attention to yourself so you can punish me, scapegoat me, and let everybody else who could come out or listen hear your voice denouncing me, devaluing me, putting me down, trying to prove that I'm the villain. When the only thing that happened was you were being told everybody makes mistakes, which is the thing that you keep saying. You want me to have the attitude that everybody makes mistakes? Sure. But not everybody acts like a jerk afterwards. Not everybody does everything wrong after they make mistakes. That's the difference. That's the defining thing that shows what your character's really like. I mean, Boy Who Cried Wolf, okay. Was it a mistake the first time he did it? No, he did something, got a result out of it, liked the result, didn't care about the people, he did it again. So let me explain this to you. What you guys don't understand. Ed, Joel, you fake pastors, you people not led by the Ruach HaKodesh, you people that are always leaning on your own understanding and just comparing to what someone says is going on in their life to only what you've experienced. You don't step outside. You don't even try. You only continually compare what I might say is going on to what your perspective would be. You have to understand, this place becomes scorched earth. There's not physical violence all the time. Hardly ever. But it's often social violence. It's often instigated violence. It's often coerced anger. It's pushed. Because if she can get me to snap and crack, she can justify her behavior. She can say, see everyone? See what he's like? So we're talking about smear campaigns, reputation warfare, financial sabotage, parental manipulation, strategic abandonment. I'll let you collapse and I'll call it your fault. Do you understand what she's doing? Do any of you actually care? You claim to care, but do you actually know even how to care? This is where all of you people in the community, tend to fail the victim. You might see a calm presentation and a polished story, the reasonable tone from her, and you don't even realize that you're watching a narrative operation. You're watching a performance. She has to get you to side with her. Well, obviously, I have to get you to side with me too, because I want her to have the right kind of prayer. I want her to have the right kind of caring. So what am I going to do? Ask you to care for something that's not real? So here's the medical reality of it all. Chronic stress is a bodily injury. It's a body injury. It's not a mood, folks. I'm not saying, though, stress causes every disease. Don't misquote me. That's sloppy and untrue. But what I am saying is what mainstream medicine already states, that chronic stress changes the body over time. Listen very carefully. Sleep dysregulation, blood pressure deregulation, inflammation, immune function, metabolism, cognition. Constant stress affects these body systems endlessly. Public health bodies recognize intimate partner violence and coercive control. Listen very carefully to the words coercive control, because that's a crime now. Public health bodies, medical professionals, they understand that intimate partner violence, it doesn't have to be physical. It can be emotional. It can be physiological. It can be mental. It can be spiritual. Coercive control. And these types of things, these are the drivers of lasting health consequences. This is proven now. Okay, people? This is the mechanism that the layman's, you folks, Ed, Joel, and anybody listening, you need to understand. When the threat never resolves, the stress response stays on. The ongoing activation, okay, is called wear and tear. In the allostatic load model, over time, it's associated with chronic disease risk factors and broad health deterioration. This is fact. This is not opinion. So when I say she's killing me, she's literally killing me, and people roll their eyes, including her, this is ridiculous. Psychological abuse uniquely predicts trauma outcomes even after controlling the physical violence, even after you put in mechanisms to stop anything that could happen. The psychological aspects of it continue, meaning that the invisible abuse, not minor, it's clinically significant. So yes, folks, Ed, Dorinda, years of unresolved stress in a coercive environment can absolutely contribute to a serious decline, physically, mentally, and emotionally. This is what happened, and this is when I started to beg. And now I got a guy like Ed that says he doesn't trust me. After all that I've been through, he says he doesn't trust me with where the money would go, and I'm just trying to use it to relieve the financial burden that takes place because she doesn't follow through and do what she says she will do. She's left, and she's using these abuse tactics as coercive control. We don't have legislation yet to criminalize this, but there are aspects of this in the realm of domestic abuse. We're not talking domestic violence, domestic abuse, where this is already criminal behavior. Refusing to take me to doctor's appointments, refusing marital, needs, refusing this, refusing to care for Adrian, refusing all of this, running away, lying, slandering. This is destroying me, and it's not destroying me because I'm weak. It's destroying me because I'm living with these systems that never shut off. I'm constantly on edge and in the state of alarm. What's coming tomorrow? I'm getting stressed now. I'm feeling like I'm going to throw up soon. You people should be ashamed of yourselves. Ed, you should be ashamed of yourself. How dare you even think for one moment, Ed, you love God? And to say that a brother in Christ has to prove that he's worthy to be helped. Who are you, Mr. Murphy? You're the guy that didn't pay attention to the details. You're the guy that didn't listen. You're the guy that didn't do the work. And you're the guy that lied. And you're the guy that's been pushing this forever. And you're the guy that said, I'm not talking about your son. I couldn't believe that. And now, I'm not doing a GoFundMe for you, Brian, for the reasons I've stated. And I scroll and I look at the reasons, and you're literally telling me that I've somehow betrayed your trust? And I somehow have to prove that I'm worthy of financial help, but you don't trust where the money would go. When I've already told you where it needs to go. And if you were the person doing the GoFundMe, the money goes to where you want it to go, and then I can tell you where to send it. It wouldn't even be a thing. So once again, Mr. Murphy doesn't do the bare minimums of research. The bare minimums of research, Edward, to call yourself a friend. You should be ashamed of yourself, Mr. Murphy. You're disgusting. As far as Christ is concerned, I imagine that he is going to tell you, away from me, I have never known you. Think about this. If your wife actually knew how you were treating me and what you did for the justifications in doing so, do you think she'd stay with you? You're telling a person that you've known since you were 14 or 15 years old, that you haven't known that very well, who came to you and said, his wife, something's wrong. I don't know what this is. And because of whatever's in your head, whatever understanding is inside of you, and whatever work you refuse to do, whatever you didn't offer me, you're still saying it. I did do research. I did watch videos, and I even watched some of yours. But Ed, if you had any facts within you about how this could have happened to my lovely wife, you wouldn't be able to take the stance against me that you have. Therefore, it proves you are a liar. Devin, Vance, Brian, Adrian are all victims of her narcissistic abuse. To varying degrees, she treats all of us very differently. But she triangulates all of us, and the treatment we each face is actually used against us. I never said that to him. I never said that to them. Right? She won't tell me she wants to come home. She won't tell me she loves me in front of children. But she'll tell me she wants to come home and tells me she wants to fix all this in front of me. She'll tell me, but she won't tell it to him. She doesn't want him to know. What does she want Devin to know? You know what she wants Devin to know? That everybody just has to figure all this out on their own. How's he supposed to figure it out on his own when you never gave him the tools to figure anything out? You denied all the tools I gave you to use with him. You denied every tool that families use to overcome anything. You just denied, deflected, blame shifted, and walked away. Dropping the ball, never picking it up. Edward, you don't trust me? This is the woman I married, and this is the woman I told you I needed help with. I don't know how to reach her. I still don't know how to reach her. Do you want to know what the research says? Vaknin says that it's hopeless. You can't outlove them. You can't outdo them. You can't outbe them. You can't. you can't lower yourself. You can't say, oh, yeah, you're right about all these horrible things you say about me, Anne, because then you're a pathetic thing that she doesn't want anyways. So you're either this pathetic thing that can't do, that needs her all the time to do for you so she can feel good about herself, but then she uses that to say, well, get off your ass. Why can't you get up and go do these things? Yeah, these are the words she says. Why can't you do this yourself? She wants to destroy me to the point where I am incapable and invalid and devalued. And then when I feel that way, she wants to tell me I'm a bad person because I feel that way now. And then when I tell my friends that I don't understand what's going on, you all want to ask me what I did to deserve it. You ask me what I did to deserve this treatment. I don't know. Tell the truth? Ask for help? Guide her in the right direction? Do you guys realize that the whole thing with the help in the house has now come full circle and she still doesn't realize that it's the same cry for help that I asked for? About 8 years into the marriage, I said, Anne, I'm going to have to show you what it's like. I'm going to have to delegate some of these jobs to you because they're so heavy duty. I'm going to need help with some of these, so now you're in charge of some of these jobs. And she didn't do them to my standard at all. She couldn't keep up with my standard. She couldn't keep the floor clean, the house clean, the counters clean, the wall. Anything that was taken, that I took from the jobs I was doing in the house to keep it clean, for her, I kept saying, I need help. I need help. I need help. I need people to do their part. Little bits here, little bits there, or show up in the kitchen while I'm working and, wipe things down with me. I needed help. So fast forward to just a few weeks ago, she blurts out at the top of her lungs while I'm discussing something and bringing it to the table again about something that I initiated, a process I was doing to help her save time. She conflates this moment. It was a moment where I came in and I saw she was cutting green peppers and not really using a method that would cut down on travel traffic. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And all I did was really tell her, just chop up all the peppers at once in a pile. Then take the whole pile and clean them all out. Don't go chop a pepper, then walk to the trash, clean it out, walk back to the counter, chop a pepper, walk to the trash, clean it out. Don't keep walking back and forth for 20 peppers, right? Cut all the peppers into the bowl, take the bowl to the trash. You're taking one bowl, making one trip with 20 peppers. You're not taking 20 trips with 20 peppers. The time is reduced. It's simple logic. If anybody listening now is having trouble with this, you've got issues. I'm just going to say it. So I would watch her cut a pepper in half, walk to the trash. It's just a little pivot and a turn, but it's turn, pivot, take a step, go to the trash, scoop out all the seeds, take the core out, and then walk back to the counter and do it again. You would get fired in a restaurant for doing this. It's a waste of your time. And people need to remember, my wife said this: I wish I had more time to spend with my family. So if she wants help in that, people can either take over the job, but then it's not family. It's just her. So if I take over the job, right? Okay, so if it's help, okay, we work together. Yeah, that's fine. Put a pin in that one, folks. But what was happening was, as I saw she was mismanaging her time, I don't have to let her take over this conversation. She doesn't have the right to take over this conversation. I was seeing her needing a type of help. The type of help she needed at that time was how to manage her time and stop wasting it. The type of help she did not need was for me to take over and do the work. So yes, she does want help. But remember that thing I put a pin in? That's the same type of help I was asking for. I'm not discounting that. I want her to have the help. But at the same time, I also want her to not work in the realm of convenience. I want her to work in the realm of efficiency so she can return her own time to herself. That's also help. Helping her in the kitchen side by side doing work with her is help. Doing it for her so she doesn't have to do it at all is help. And helping her manage her time for the jobs that she's doing on her own is also help. So for her to blurt out that it's not about that, it was about me wanting help, she's lost the narrative completely, because I was helping her, and I was helping her in the context that was needed at the time. So what she does is she conflates it with the idea of her just wanting help. Well, Anne, did you raise your kids the way they should go? Did you teach accountability and responsibility? Did you turn your children into wonderful, loving, caring, kind people that are responsible, socially responsible, fiscally responsible, and environmentally responsible? Will your children take their socks, their filthy socks, and instead of them stuffing them and tucking them anywhere near their body and them being left there for weeks, never found, will they get up and put them in the hamper? Will they shake them out? Will they make them not in a ball? Will they put them in the hamper? Will they put them in the right hamper? Okay, so if they don't put them in the right hamper, then they what? Have to sort the laundry later? So I'm not going to get into it with you, Ann. Help is help, and help comes in various formats. The one thing that you don't realize is that the help you were literally asking for was slave labor. And I tried to get you to see it because all of the other helps you were being offered. So you just get all upset when I say that. But all of the other help that you were being offered, you were swatting away. It was you weren't saying, I just want you to shut up and do. You weren't saying that, but you didn't want help managing your time. You didn't want help with organization and chore charts and things to help delegate. You didn't want help with the teaching models so your children could learn how to become a little bit excited about some areas of picking up after themselves, keeping their room clean, keeping their areas clean, doing their own laundry. You weren't interested in being taught anything. Nothing. So take the pin out. Who was asking for help? I was asking for you to help me. And you refused. And now, nothing that should have been created, everything that you wished was created, isn't created. You don't have kids, Anne, that can take over for you and help you in the kitchen now. You know why? Because you didn't listen to me. And you didn't do what you were told. And yes, Ed, nobody likes to be told what to do. But you know what? Some people need to be told what to do. Some people require it. And some people have that happen in their life in the most loving and caring, kind ways, where systems are created, right? Game plans, shared goals are spoken about, ideas. Things are put on the table that are believable, attainable, true. And they're agreed to on that moment because it sounds good for her to agree to it. But when it comes time to put things into practice, she was nowhere to be found, Edward. Nowhere to be found, Joel. Nowhere to be found, Dorinda. These weren't regular so-called grievances. It looks like I'm dealing with a person that doesn't know how to be a person. They just mimic everything that they see, and they're just pretending. And they're just hoping that someone is so generous and loving and kind and not abrasive and not curt and not hard and not challenging and not difficult in any way, shape, or form, because she can't handle it. But she needs to be helped and guided and shown things all the time. And I don't have a problem with that. Except you have to be receptive to who I am as a person. You can't just say, oh, because Brian has a tone of voice, comes from a military background, that just equals jerk. No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to keep destroying me and never rebuilding me. So this is years of unresolved stress in a coercive environment. And this is why this destroys all hope. I'm going to try to wrap this up. This is part 4. I have no retirement, folks. I have no companion to go into these final years with. I have no one to plan end of life with. I have no one to talk about the future of my kids. I can't look forward to weddings. I can't look forward to graduations. I can't do what all of you get to do. Because I have a partner that can't say she's sorry. She can't say, in this moment where I could have been paying attention, I wasn't. She can't say I should have listened. She can't say I should have deferred to you. She can't say I'm so thankful that you're in my life, Mr. David. She can't say I'm thankful you were looking out for me. Because if you remember, folks, when you're making a mistake, do you actually know you're making it? Would you set out to make a mistake? No, so if you're making a mistake, chances are pretty high that you don't know you're making one, right? So who wouldn't be thankful for someone to come in and stop it from happening before? Who wouldn't be thankful? You guys have to understand. Chronic coercive conflict destroys my ability to even imagine a future. Do you understand that? Future planning requires stability. And this stability is exactly what these coercive dynamics remove. This is also why children are harmed, even if they're not the direct target. They live inside instability. Their nervous system develops in a climate of threat and constant confusion. This is well recognized in the IPV literature as family-wide impact. This is serious. I actually don't even know how she has this job. So again, to these people that aren't my friends, this isn't so-called grievance. This is not marital trouble. Scripture's lens will show that this oppression is not simple. Because Scripture does not ask the oppressed to pretend oppression is nothing. Ecclesiastes names oppression as evil under the sun. The Psalms repeatedly treat betrayal, lying, and violence of the tongue as real violence. I'm constantly told, she builds me up, she breaks me down. She builds me up, she breaks me down. Until I'm falling to pieces. His words were smoother than butter, yet war was in his heart. Psalm 55. And Jesus puts truth at the center of freedom. Right? Freedom from this, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. So the church needs to do this thing. Needs to stop doing this one thing. Ed, you guys, you have to stop calling the victim bitter or a problem for calling out reality, for naming it. I might be a little bit upset. Consider my circumstances. Truth-telling is not bitterness. It's orientation. It's the first act of survival. So we're going to take another small break here. And we'll ask, if you're watching this and you realize, hey, I know someone living in this. Here's the honest truth. Most people don't need your opinion, Ed. They need your presence. They need practical help. This channel exists for clarity and moral courage, to say what's real, to name what's harmful, to move people towards righteous action. So here's what support is supposed to look like. Share the teaching. Share this understanding with someone. If you're someone who believes in the mission here and you want it to continue, I would ask that you would support the lampstand in the ways available. You would share, subscribe, and if you're in my real life circle, you stop freezing in suspicion and start doing the bare minimum mercies that keep a family alive. The silence doesn't stay neutral. Silence tends to side with the stronger narrative. And the stronger narrative isn't always the one telling the truth. So let's give ourselves a little break here, folks. And we'll continue with part 5. Be right back.
Now he has a huge amount of his gosh darn background in view again. It's the fan. Do not walk into the camera. There's a way to handle this. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm in a lot of trouble. In a lot of pain right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish. So let's try to push through this. So part 5. What the right help looks like. The aid checklist for laymen. If you're a friend, brother or church member or elder, and you want to help the right way, do these. Provide material relief, not advice. Groceries, rides, help with Adrian, help cooking food, errands, maybe a small monthly commitment, maybe a one-time bill paid, a meal train. That's love with hands. Reduce isolation. Maybe schedule a check-in once a week. One in-person visit. I could use one steady human that doesn't disappear. Help stabilize my medical care. Offer to drive me to appointments. You have to understand, she wouldn't even offer to drive me to my appointment so I could qualify for Accessoride, so I could have a van pick me up. You understand what this is, what's happening? 7 or 8 days notice on an appointment, and she can't take an afternoon off now to drive me to go get evaluated so I can use public transportation to get to my doctor and not actually have to ask people for rides. My doctor's far away. She won't sit with me and get a new one, a new primary care that's closer. So I need help with this. Help to gather my records. Help to ensure I get basic screenings. My blood pressure, my A1C, my stress-related symptoms. These things happen. You have to understand, I wake up every day on a schedule none of you keep. I'm not crying here. I'm having an event. Extreme discomfort. This is most of my day. Most of all of my days. I have every right to be upset at all you people that are local to me. You live blocks away from me. You had the nerve to tell me that it's not the narrative she's selling you that's keeping you from coming to see for yourself. You had the nerve to tell me it was me. Reaching out to you blocked me, Joel. Dorinda blocked me because you believe her. You don't believe my sons. You don't believe my children. You got a hell of a lot of nerve telling me that I'm some sort of coward hiding behind children, or I'm parading my so-called grievances in front of children. Well, what was happening to my children when I was begging all of you to help me find her? You have to understand, I didn't even know what the possibilities could be. I didn't understand what was happening with her. And now I have no way of knowing what's going to happen with me medically. So, number 4, if you want to help stabilize the household logistics, paperwork, calls, forms, budgeting support, organization. The victim's bandwidth is often crushed. What resources do I have, Ed, to just go off and sell stuff? You hear yourself? How disconnected do you have to be to make that kind of suggestion as if it came from your worldview, your buddy down the street who's got no afflictions? This woman has left me in a state worse than when she found me. I'm in a prison. I was told to be in charge of how this house runs and then told I couldn't be in charge of anything, told no. Can you imagine how hard it is for a man to know, okay, this doesn't make sense, folks. Anne works a few blocks away. Takes her about 4 or 5 minutes to get to work, maybe 7 or 8. Right? Decades. She doesn't understand this. She doesn't want to help me get my license and get me put on the insurance because she says we were in agreement that it was too costly to put her on the insurance. But think about this. Did she want help, folks? Did she need help? So couldn't I take the car and while she's at work, couldn't I do childcare doctor appointments, childcare activities, childcare play dates, shopping, laundry, errands? Wouldn't that have all been lifted off of her shoulders? Couldn't I have as well found public transportation or things to do, adventures to have? A lot of bills were online, paid, a lot of errands, but going to do laundry, shop right, same discussion. Bonding with children, teaching the intrinsic value of hard work, being valuable to her. She was setting up the situation where I became invalid. Asking her to give me a chance to become someone for her. Oh, you could have been anything. You could have done anything, Brian. Yeah? Could I have been your husband? Were you going to allow me to be your husband? Your companion? Your guide? Your mentor? Your love? The one responsible for you? Yeah, I'm crying now. I begged you all for help with this woman, and now I'm basically at the end of my life, having spent 20 years trying to solve this problem, trying to reach her, and trying to just get the simplest of help from some of who I thought were my closest friends. And look at the truth. Look at what I'm discovering. Look at Ed Murphy in particular. He says, I'm tired of you needing me to justify myself to you, Brian. First off, he's laying that on me first by saying, I need it. He doesn't need to justify himself to me. What he's doing is he's forcing me to justify myself to him, and he's finding ways to just say, no, Brian, I'm only going to pray, but I'm not going to offer full understanding. I'm not going to actually do any research at all and understand what might have happened to your wife. I don't want to pray to my God in truth and in spirit. I want to just drag you through my own understanding and subjugate you to some sort of scapegoat process, Brian. where I have to find a way to blame you for something so I can preach to you, so I can talk down to you, so I don't have to help you. I don't understand what this is. I never did anything to betray your trust. Unless you're talking about Matthew 18, where I went to the church to talk to them about you as to why you couldn't repent of this ridiculous idea of asking an abuse victim what he did to deserve the abuse. And then your socially disconnected statement where, well, I'm not talking about Devin. It's the same abuse, Ed. Vance went through the same abuse. Devin went through the same abuse alongside of me. Children, Ed. But you are coming after me with zero concern for how it's the same abuse they're experiencing. So what does that say about your motivations, Ed, your goals? What is your goal, Ed, in coming after me and at the same time, the same abuse, a different victim alongside of me, you say, I don't care. I'm not talking about them. When I simply said, oh, you're very comfortable with asking me this line of questioning, an abuse victim. Okay, well, Ed, logically, that would mean you'd be able to ask the same question to another abuse victim of the same abuse from the same perpetrator, right? So how about you transfer that question to a child? Do you feel comfortable asking a child the same question you're asking me? And look how you handled that, Ed. Like you didn't have a brain in your head. Like you didn't actually realize that you were saying something so socially inept and so disconnected from reality that you looked like you weren't even a human being yourself. I could never love Devin because Devin's not what I'm thinking about right now. How dare you ask me about Devin? What's wrong with you? So I would ask that you people stop rewarding the single storyteller. Stop rewarding Anne. If you only listen to one side, you're not discerning, right? Ed, you offered to talk to her, right? You were hearing only my side. I didn't tell you you couldn't talk to my wife. I told you that she was going to tear you to pieces. If you're not aware, you, Ed Murphy, are not aware when you're socially inept, when you're missing the mark, when you're not understanding, when you're overbearing, or when you're not really seeing, what's the word, Devin? Like, do you remember, Ed? You and I are just hitting it off. We're kind of coming back together after a while. And I really have no way to connect with you. Not really, right? So I'm like, hey, Ed, I got a notification on Amazon, right? So about an album that RE-RE-DEUX put out. So, hey, Ed, just got notification this album came out. Cool, huh? Here, I'll share it with you. And you were basically, well, that's all right, Brian. I don't need this. Matter of fact, I've done all these amazing things. And this with RE-RE-DEUX, and I have this then, and this going for me and that. And you're not content with just saying, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. What happened to you, Ed? What happened to you? I'm just being a nice guy, not really hitting it off with you religiously, or I'm not really going to try to approach, because you're not doing it. You're not doing the work. You're not leaning into the understanding. You're not trying to find out what's wrong with modern Christianity. You're not trying to find out what's wrong with my wife. You're not trying to find out if there's something wrong. You're not trusting me and believing me. I have no reason to lie to you. I came to you for help. I came to you. And you're making me prove I'm worthy of it. Think about that, Ed. What kind of Christian are you that you're demanding that I prove that I'm worthy of help? So, for those people that are listening to this single storyteller, not you, Ed, but for the people that are here, Dorinda, Joel, Anybody that, Steve, Eva, anybody in that camp, you're not discerning. As I said before, that's not discernment. You're being managed. You're being controlled. You're being coerced. You should be requiring complete corroboration of her stories. You should be speaking with the adult children involved when it's appropriate. You should be looking for consistency over time, which would be fruit, not fantasy. So, want to help? Encourage trauma-informed support, not just go talk to somebody as a dismissal. Actual support, yeah, a clinician who understands coercive control and trauma is needed. But guess what? My insurance doesn't cover this. And I would want Anne to have the right kind of care. She was in therapy. I would want us all to be there. But this would have to be the right person. This person would have to be knowledgeable in this field. I couldn't walk into, you know what happens? I walk into a doctor's office. I walk into clinician's office, right? I walk into, well, the last time, the head of the psych department where Devin was at, the person in charge of that whole facility walked up to me. And one, she's stuck on who Sam Vaknin really is. Two, once she realizes who she is, then she tries to tell me he's not credible because he's not in America. Well, he's a professor of psychology at Cambridge, and he's head of CEOPS. I mean, he's not qualified? So, no, what she was trying to tell me, she says, he has nothing to do with the DSM. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's a coincidence because American psychology and you people, you throw the DSM out the window. Right? So I had the head of that facility coming after me and I talked circles around her. Now, that's not narcissism. That's me being learned and me knowing what I was saying, knowing why I was there. I wasn't there because I was a mental case. I was there because I was sick and the circumstances were as such. Devin just happened to be in the same facility also, and a phone call took place where I was very worried that I kind of hurt him a little bit more. Meaning just he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't know what's going on. He's trying to figure stuff out. Him hearing that I'm in the hospital sick could have hurt him, could have affected him. Oh no, Dad's in the hospital sick. And what happened was that we were connected, him and I. I was given the number and put through. Oh, there he is. Because I was in the very same hospital. They called me on my phone and put me through to him. And I just was worried that he was, hurting because of that. I wanted to go to him. Just like I want to go to Vance. I want somebody to come. Get in a car with me and go get Vance. I want somebody to come help me with Ann. I want somebody to help me fix this. But I don't think anybody can other than God. I don't think Yah even wants her, though. I don't know. I'm nervous. He has seen fit to allow this separation to continue as it is. Are we waiting for her repentance event? I don't know if it's going to happen. If this is truly a diagnosable mental illness, she's off the charts. We're not talking about just hitting 5 or 6 parts of the DSM category. We're just talking all 9 points in various degrees, in various spaces. She shows that has had narcissistic injury in the past. She shows that she has very childish responses. Well, childish reactions and actual no responses. She doesn't think things thoroughly. She doesn't actually put forth first flip logic. She doesn't use the 5 Ds of David Dunning. And one thing that happens, which is the same with guys like Ed and Joel, there's the second tier of people. There's the first tier of people. That's me and her, right? And then there's the second tier. Then there's an outer tier of people, and it goes further and further. And you can tell what people are like when they just completely forget the immediate group of people around the two. The children are suffering. Anne is suffering. I'm suffering. But the people that are involved with her right now are all after me. Is any of you caring about my children? Are any of you trying to go find my kids? Are any of you friends of Anne that are believing Anne? Well, guess what? You must not be believing her. So why are you guys not out trying to find him? Why aren't you guys, Joel, why isn't this Richie canceled church group? My son, scared, not knowing what to do, has been convinced and coerced himself by psychological evaluators who don't really have the truth because he can't inform correctly. And he's out there in the middle of nowhere, willing to enter into the shelter system, possibly already has entered into it. Out there alone in this blizzard state, in this crazy state that New York City's in right now. And I don't know where he is, and I want to go get him every day. And I'm stuck and I can't. Imagine the pain and suffering I'm going through, knowing the pain and suffering he could be going through. And now imagine this. My other son, Devin, is watching all this take place, and he has had this whole life, his whole life just stopped, never built. He doesn't even get to think about what he can become, who he can become, what he can do in his life. He's stuck taking care of me while I'm dying. He might not even be able to stay here and listen to me say these things. He just happens to be in the room with me. And this is difficult stuff. She left him to this. This affects me. She's turned me into a person that's basically powerless. This is basically the only thing I can do. Reach out. Ask for help. Ask for support. You know? See if somebody wants to donate. There's lots going on here. Pretty soon I'm going to need a walker, you know. Probably more. I know this is a drag for a lot of you. But who cares what the lost think? Who cares what the people who don't care think? I'm only really doing this because I don't have anybody to talk to. Nobody wants to talk to me. Anne won't return my calls. Vance won't answer the phone. I'm losing Devin every day. Sure, there's a lot wrong with me. But I'm not evil. I'm not narcissistic. I'm not trying to control people. I'm not trying to manipulate anybody. I became a person who didn't get to become a person. That's for sure. I really didn't get to become anything. She wouldn't let me even be her husband. And then she basically made fun of me, put me down, demeaned and devalued me every step of the way. Well, what was I supposed to do when there was nothing to live up to? There was no platform of performance offered. There was nothing for me to see. Oh, this worked. I'll continue doing that. Number 7, if you really want to help. If there are any active intimidations, any active stalking, threats, financial strangulation, I would want people to treat this as serious. Coercive control is now widely recognized as a major health and safety issue. It's starting to become criminalized. So what I can say cleanly, without overclaiming, okay? And what you can say. Layman, you folk, you need language that you can repeat without exaggeration. So, what basically this is when a narcissistic style abuser feels exposed, what they will do usually is they will reframe the partner as the enemy and escalate to punishment, narrative warfare, lying, coercing others, and abandonment. This is not reconciliation, folks. This is not kingdom behavior. This is controlling behavior. And on the medical reality of this all, chronic coercive stress can create lasting injury patterns in the mind and the body. Psychological abuse is not less real than physical abuse. It predicts serious trauma outcomes. So, as we wrap this up, the direct appeal to anybody still watching, I don't think it's anybody. If you've been treating this as drama, stop. If you've been watching this and you've been waiting for a perfect certainty or before you even offer basic help, stop. If you're watching this and you've decided someone is untrustworthy because you heard a story or you believe something that's not real or or whatever, stop. Scriptures don't command you folks to be naive. And they also don't command you to be cold. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. It's Galatians 2. I don't see any of these friends, these people that claim to be Christians and they claim to love and care for my wife, so they just believe her. But they don't believe me, they don't believe my kids. They won't even come and talk to us, and they use every excuse in the book. You know why? Because you feel good about how she makes you feel about having her in your life. That's her design. That's the design. She did it to me. Bearing burdens is not a sermon. And bearing burdens shouldn't be a burden. It's a grocery run. It's a phone call. It's a ride. It's being believed. It's writing and overseeing a GoFundMe. It's willingness to hear a person who's been silenced for decades. It's the willingness to help before the man collapses, before he dies. And for the person living inside this kind of oppression with me, this is happening to you, yeah, your exhaustion is not your imagination. This is not imaginary. It's not just stress, and these aren't so-called grievances. It's the body continually trying to survive in an environment that never resolves. Truth matters, folks. Support matters. And the lampstand, this guy, I'm going to keep saying what's real. I'm going to keep telling the truth until the community learns to see it. Thanks for watching.